I mean, Nikki's really one got me singing, and Tommy, I mean, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for
They
him.
won't cut into their share. I'd never do that.
Oh, we gotta tell him.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, if things work out, think we talk about a saxophone?
If things work out, we can talk about a whole horn section.
Hi, I'm Kevin, and I am here with stage and film actor Erich Bergen.
Yes.
Star of Jersey Boys.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So you play Bob Gaudio.
That's right. I wanted you to do it in the accent.
Bob Gaudio from the infamous Four Seasons.
Yes, yes.
But this is not the first time you've played him.
No.
So do tell us that history.
I first joined Jersey Boys in 2006 when I was 20 years old. I launched the first national tour in San Francisco. Took that tour all over the West Coast for the first year, LA and you know, many different cities on the West Coast. And then I opened the show in Vegas and did the show out there for 2 years. Wow. And then I had a nice long break where I didn't do it and did other things. And then all of a sudden Clint Eastwood calls and says he'd like you to do it again. And so you say yes.
Did you?
Yes, yes.
Is that what you do with the band?
Yes, you say, oh, let me check my schedule, and then you say yes.
So was there an audition process, or did he just say? Like,
there was. Actually, it was a very, very interesting process. The film was first set up with a different director, Jon Favreau, actually. It was set up to direct it. And it was at a different studio. And that version of the film fell apart, and it ended up a few months later being set up with Clint Eastwood at Warner Brothers. And word had gotten around that he had wanted to see actors who had been in the show. But what I heard and what I saw was that he was going around to all the various productions at the time, going to see people. And because I wasn't in the show at the time, I thought for sure that I wasn't going to have a shot at it. Right. And then about 2 weeks later, I got a call from my agent at like 6 o'clock at night. And they said, you have an audition the next morning for the Jersey Boys movie. And he was so apologetic, my agent, because he said, I'm sorry, they want to see you at 9 a.m. I don't know if you're going to have any time to memorize all these lines. And I was in the car, I was driving. I said, read me the first line of the scenes they sent over. And there were 2 scenes. And he read me the first line of both of them. And verbatim, I was able to, just on the first line alone, read back to him the entire scene.
Wow.
The lines were still there. And I had one audition. And about a month later, I was in New York and got a phone call. Wow! No callback, no screen test, no nothing. I know. I was quite surprised that for such a high-profile film, that it was that kind of a process. But Clint is very much like he knows what he wants, and once he sees it, it's. He just makes his decision.
Was it different to play it from stage to film? You know, how was that process?
Actually, it wasn't. In this particular case, there's the obvious technical difference. You don't have to make sure that your performance reaches 3,000 seats, and especially that seat all the way at the top of the balcony. But Clint was sort of adamant that he hired us because of what it is that we do. It makes no sense to hire somebody and then have them do something completely different when they get to set. He hired those of us who have been in the show, he hired us strictly for the reason that no one knows it better than us.
Right. How was Clint Eastwood as a director? I mean, he usually directs these kind of very slow and kind of unnerving or just thoughtful, thought-provoking dramas, and this is different for him.
As a 6'3" lanky Jew from Manhattan, I never thought I'd find myself in a Clint Eastwood movie. You know what I mean? I never thought I was masculine enough for a Clint Eastwood movie. I mean, I've always loved his movies, but they weren't even on my bucket list because that's just never how I saw myself. So I didn't know a lot about him. I had never really studied him or you know, read any books about him or anything like that. So I didn't know what to expect. I had only heard that he did like 1 or 2 takes of things, and that was the only thing I really knew. But he is so collaborative. That's the word that like sticks out in my mind about him. What he really wants is for you to bring to the table something. Mm-hmm. He does not dictate anything. And that really goes for everyone on the set. There's a quote in Tina Fey's book where she says, the best bosses hire the smartest people, then get out of their way. Hmm. And that's sort of what Clint does. He really puts together a family of amazingly talented, creative people and lets them do their best work. And that goes from the actors to the catering truck. Wow. And he treats everyone with the same amount of respect. There are times when we didn't do any rehearsals. He really just said, put up there, and then he turned on the camera. One time he said, let's just rehearse this once. And then we just sort of did it, and I was just sort of playing around a little bit, and then we finished the take, and he said, all right, that'll do. I said, okay, great, should we do it? He said, no, I filmed it, we're moving on. He just likes capturing raw what your first instinct is, not thinking. There was one time where they were changing the lens, and I guess he caught me in the corner thinking over something, and I remember hearing off the distance, "Quick, hurry up, Bergen's thinking." And it was him yelling that to the staff. He really wants to capture live energy. The movie was shot in, it was set to shoot in 40 days. We did it in 38.
Wow.
So he is extremely fast.
Right. I mean, you've done a lot of theater. You've done Anything Goes, the touring company. Do you prefer one over the other?
Well, I think nothing will ever beat the live energy of live. I mean, there is something that is so. Well, if you think about it, it's like church in a way. You know, you're all in this one room doing something together and to have some sort of higher feeling wash over you in some way, to be moved, to be changed. That's why we go to the theater. It's to have an experience that you can never have again. Right. But film has just as many pros. They're just different. And there's so many things that now I've discovered that you can do in film that you can't do in theater. Specifically with Jersey Boys, getting to explore these characters that we didn't have time for in the show. Because at the end of the day, on Broadway, even though Jersey Boys is very realistic and very dark, and it's not jazz hand musical theater, it still is a Broadway spectacle to a degree. I mean, the clothing pops a little bit more. There are sequins. There are things that make your $150 ticket worth it. I mean, you know, I hate to sound like that, but it's sort of true. And on film, you really just get to sit back and learn who these people are, and really get to live in their house with them. And these actors no longer need to explain things to you. With the camera right here, you get to breathe and live in it, and the audience fully understands what you're going through. Right. And then there's just, of course, so many physical things that you can do with film that you can't do in theater. And it goes the opposite way. So I tend to go not so much caring about the medium as I do about the writing. Right. To me, it's really about the script. Right.
You have an album coming out July 1st.
I do.
Tell us about what kind of music is it?
I think in the iTunes store it falls under vocal pop. Oh. But no, I sort of come from the same, you know, I grew up on the Four Seasons music, so I'm still melody based. I never got into, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I never got into the Radiohead of it all, you know, the depressing alternative music. Yeah. Life is very happy for me. I don't know why, but I'm just peppy. But I like to write fun, melodic pop music, and we stay in that genre with this. So I'm very excited about it.
Excellent. So July 1st.
July 1st on iTunes, Amazon, and are there still records? Is Tower Records still open?
No, I don't think so, sadly.
Sorry.
Well, thank you very, very much for stopping by and talking to us about Jersey Boys. Good luck with it.
Thank you. Thanks.
And you're amazing in it.
Thank you.
And we're going to cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
To the Four Seasons.
Yeah, I feel good about that.
Okay.
Frankie, sing My Mother's Eyes for me.